What happened on January 26? It's not the day Captain Cook arrived, or the day the First Fleet landed at Botany Bay. Australia's National Day is held on the date Captain Arthur Phillip sailed into Sydney Cove with a shipload of convicts, hoisted the British flag and claimed the land in the name of King George III. But January 26 didn't become an agreed national day until 1935, and it was only in 1938 when a genuine national celebration occurred. In that year, the 150th anniversary of British settlement was widely celebrated. That day, Aboriginal leaders declared a national day of mourning for Indigenous Australians, because January 26 to them marked the start of dispossession and racist laws. January 26 only became a national holiday in 1994.
Documentary on the so-called letters patent say the Aboriginal people of South Australia were already recognised in 1836. The letters patent document, akin to a treaty, recognised local First Nations people and gave them full land rights almost 200 years ago. Their documentary, The King's Seal, explains that local colonists and administrators ignored the King's proclamation.
The letters patent, even though the King sent that letter out, those rights were never received. So, you know, one of the first acts of creating a free state was to lock Aboriginal people away. So they actually committed treason because they disobeyed the King's law.
I think what needs to be done is that document needs to be tested in the court of law. That really needs to happen for this, you know, recognition for South Australia. I'm talking about just South Australia. I think recognition for Aboriginal people is a really important thing in the country's constitution. But at the end of the day, what does that mean? What does that mean for Aboriginal people? You know, and what does that mean for South Australia's Aboriginal people? Because they are recognised already.
My people, my people.
The crazy disappearance of the Prime Minister of Australia. On a warm December day in 1967, Australian Prime Minister Harold Holt vanished without a trace while swimming in the ocean near Cheviot Beach, Victoria. His sudden disappearance sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving behind a legacy of mystery and intrigue. Many believe Holt succumbed to a tragic accident, drowning in the rough waters. Others whisper of deeper conspiracies, suggesting foul play or even a deliberate defection. The lack of a body and the conflicting accounts of the events leading up to his disappearance have fueled speculation for decades. One theory suggests Holt, an experienced swimmer, was swept away by a rip current. Others believe he was deliberately drowned by a foreign power or a political adversary. Some even speculate that he staged his own disappearance to escape the pressures of his role. Despite numerous searches and investigations, the truth behind Harold Holt's disappearance remains elusive. His name became synonymous with unsolved mysteries, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of life and the secrets that can lie beneath the waves. Leave us a comment on your thoughts. Hit that follow and thank you for watching.
We will legislate to give Aborigines land rights. Not just because their case is beyond argument, but because all of us as Australians are diminished, while the Aborigines are denied their rightful place in this nation.
If you see the film footages, you'll see me handing the megaphone across to Gough as he comes through the doors to do his, some may say, you know, well say, God save the Queen. Just before that moment, I'm out there with the megaphone.
Do you think if Gough Whitlam and the rest of you had known then what you know now about the fact that Sir John Kerr was having secret discussions with High Court judges, not just with Garfield Barwick, but also Anthony Mason, and actively discussing the efficacy of sacking Whitlam, do you think maybe collectively and even Gough Whitlam might have acted differently?
I don't think they were capable of it, Kerry, to be honest. I mean, Gough was a kind of legal constitutionalist kind of guy. I mean, what had happened to them was a coup. It was clear as day this was a coup. Illegal, a coup. A matter which was not justiciable before the courts. This kind of exercise of the reserve powers is not a matter for the High Court. It's a matter for the head of state, the Queen, and the Prime Minister, and the and the protocols of the country. I knew that the blade had been lowered, that this was a coup. I knew that. So of course, when I just briefly raised the idea that we should arrest this guy or lock him up, of course it was just met with complete derision. See, they're just dead lucky that I wasn't the Prime Minister, because even I wouldn't have known what would have happened, but it wouldn't have been to take it lightly.
Well, may we say, God save the Queen. Because nothing will save the Governor-General.
There shall be a treaty. You, the Aboriginal people, should decide what it is that you want to see in that treaty.
Here in Australia, one of the most poignant examples of minority voting power came with the defeat of John Howard in 2007. Not only did his political party lose the election, but Howard, who was one of Australia's longest-serving prime ministers, lost his seat. Howard's success had been built on a hard line against illegal immigration. This position brought favour from working-class voters who felt abandoned on the issue by the Labour Party. Unknown to most of these voters, however, Howard had quietly ramped up Asian immigration by a huge margin. His own affluent constituency had attracted a substantial number of the more wealthy Chinese and South Korean migrants. The anti-immigration sentiment at the time was a reaction to the mass indiscriminate immigration of the previous few decades and led to the formation of a minor political party called One Nation. John Howard had been less openly hostile to One Nation than his opponents would have preferred, probably due to a desire to placate his new working-class voting base. Despite this, he had little to no sympathy for the group interests of the white majority, declaring that Australia was not multicultural, but multiracial. He agreed with earlier Prime Ministers Malcolm Fraser and Bob Hawke that Australia should have no national identity based on ethnicity. Everyone should simply be Australian with no other affiliation. Unfortunately for John Howard, the Chinese and Koreans he had imported didn't subscribe to this white Western fantasy. In the 2007 election, the Labour Party targeted these new arrivals in John Howard's electorate with a campaign to vote against him because of his delayed opposition to One Nation, the only party which had openly opposed mass Asian immigration. The result was a stunning electoral upset in a formerly safe Liberal electorate, and Prime Minister Howard lost his seat. The message was loud and clear to any politicians who want to retain their positions and their privileges.